On today's episode, Cam Johnson was traded for the Nuggets traded for Cam Johnson early in this season, in this offseason. What to make of the deal and how is he going to transform the Denver Nuggets in this upcoming pivotal season? We'll talk about it next here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into today's Sunday night episode. Monday morning, if you're listening on the audio side, make sure to give us a 5-star review over there and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. My name is Ryan Blackburn. I'm a host here at Locked On Nuggets along with Matt Moore he's at HP Basketball, Hardwood Paroxysm, Denver Dig, the Action Network. Today's episode is brought to you by nobody. Just check the rundown on that one. I'm a little bit out of practice as we come back from Yellowstone and had a long.
How was Yellowstone?
It was fantastic, Matt. I just went with my dad, and it had been, I think, a decade since I went to since I had a trip with my dad, just by him and me. And so it was really nice to get away. We got up there. We had a really fun time. We saw a bison up and close, got some great pictures, saw some great sights, and just got into nature. So feeling cleansed, feeling refreshed, and very happy to be ready for the season to start.
I went to Columbia, Missouri, where I went to school, and hung out with some college friends. And I am 25 years removed from my freshman year, and it's very weird. It's just as a heads up to everyone, as you get old, getting old is weird. It's just weird in very many ways. But what's not weird is how good Cam Johnson's going to be for this Denver Nuggets team.
Not weird at all as we segue very smoothly. Definitely Ryan not stuttering through the intro smoothly into this particular segment. Cam Johnson, Matt, we've talked about how he is a similar player, maybe slightly better player than Michael Porter Jr., who he is replacing. A lot of the conversation around him has been, hey, the lower salary helped Denver add Jonas Valanciunas into the mix. But rather than talk about the financial aspect of it, I think we should really focus in on how he changes who the Nuggets are. Because I do genuinely think that they are going to be a better, more versatile team because of Cam Johnson's presence in their lineup. He will be a massive contributor to that. I'm curious as to your opinion on whether that's the case, why that is, what are some of the things that he's actually going to do with Denver to help them become the best version of themselves.
So Hurricane, you watch the show every single week. Love Hurricane, as always in the chat. Watches every single show. Is very down on the Cam thing. Thinks it's completely overrated. And he's in here talking about like if he doesn't have 23.75, and like he's not gonna have 23.75. That's not what he's gonna do. The best way I can kind of think to answer this is all of the elements that frustrated those of us that cover the Nuggets daily, even the things that they were good at, and offensively they were good, became stagnant, stale, and predictable in large part because of the limited capacity of their talent. That AG has actually developed and grown more into an offensive player. Like AG is a more complete offensive player than he's ever been.
Yeah.
Jamal is a better passer, I think, than he's ever been.
Yeah.
But I think you can probably say, like, scoring wise, hasn't hasn't evolved.
Yeah.
And at worst has not really taken a step forward.
Yeah.
And that left kind of MPJ, right? And MPJ could hit open jumpers at an incredible rate. And every now and again would have great rebound games or a good drive. But like MPJ is not like a well-rounded player. Yeah. If you think of it like a radar chart, it's like there's these spikes on these things that he's good at. But overall, the rest of the game is very small. MPJ has a very small game with exceptionally deep apex points, right? The things that he's good at, he's elite at. Cam is just like a more well-rounded player.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson can drive. Cam Johnson can dribble. Cam Johnson can run pick and roll. Cam Johnson can make a mid-range jumper, a pull-up. Cam Johnson can, easily get to the rim for a layup and make a contested shot. Cam Johnson is a shooter. Cam Johnson is more of a defender than MPJ, even if if you don't think he's great. I'll say this. This is the kind of thing that looks awesome on paper, and it seems like a really natural fit. Cam is an exceptionally high basketball IQ player, which that was always a frustration point with Nikola, with Mike, and the coaches. Like, everything about this screams that it's a great fit, and the fit is the part that it's like he'll make all these other things better because of the fit. It's not about like individual just being good, because there's all these teams like Phoenix, who I continue to have believed in, where you have these individual talent levels, but it doesn't matter because nobody makes anybody better.
Yeah. And
the Nuggets have a lot of guys now that make other guys better, and Cam's better at that than MPJ was. There's a possibility that this is just, it doesn't work. Like, the possibility is because basketball chemistry is ephemeral. It is a non-tangible thing. It is, to kind of put it beyond verbose words, it's mystical, right? It's a vibes thing. And you can't make up for that. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are like great friends. Great friends. Same agent for a while. It was going to be awesome in Atlanta. DeJounte was going to handle the defensive side. Trae was going to be the offense. DeJounte was a combo guard. It was going to work. They could not figure out how to play together. Those guys are buddies, and they could not play together. So there is the possibility that Cam is being overrated by the media, including us. But when we look at all of these factors, and in particular, if you just told me Cam was going to be a replacement level shooter who is better at tagging the short roll or covering on at-level coverage and getting back to deny corner threes, that alone, with nothing else added, would be a monster upgrade. I went through the way that the Nuggets got killed last year was at-level coverage from Nikola, easy pass to the corner, open three, or drive, or a pump fake and drive for a layup or dunk.
Yeah.
That's how the Nuggets defense got killed. Cam helps.
He'll of course help them in a variety of different ways. And Hurricane is very adamant about this. Okay, give me a line. That's all I'm asking. If it's a make each other better thing, then give me a plus minus. I'm not going to, because one of the great things during the regular season about Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. was that their plus minus was tremendous. They had a really great two-man net rating, the good two-man plus minus, but it didn't really translate into playoff chemistry. It didn't really translate into, this is a problem-solving duo that the Nuggets can throw out there and say, hey, we can adapt and solve problems. I believe Cam Johnson's going to be able to solve problems for the Nuggets. I believe he's going to be able to adapt his game, whether it's as a playmaker, whether it's as a shooter, whether it's as an off-ball mover and screener, whether it's as a defender who can fit within a system. That's just a lot more malleability that the Nuggets are going to be able to get. And there's another kind of parallel that I'm going to compare to the OKC Thunder, who I've been thinking about a lot, like the Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso trade, where it's a different kind of style, but you're like fourth players on a team. You're kind of shifting who you are. You're definitely reducing the ceiling in terms of like the individual player. And I got to be honest, like Josh Giddey probably had a better regular season than Alex Caruso did this past year. Alex Caruso probably shot like 30% from three. It just didn't matter. It didn't, because they knew that when they threw him out there and deployed him for 20 minutes in a playoff game or more, when 28 minutes in game 7 guarding Nikola Jokic, that they could get jobs done. And that was the most important thing for the OKC Thunder to get through and win a championship. I think Cam Johnson's going to be very similar in that regard for Denver, not in a defensive mindset, but just in an offensive kind of playmaking mindset and being able to solve problems that the Nuggets faced in the playoffs.
I will give a line 15-6-4.
Okay. That's I mean, you know what? Like, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And the good thing for Denver, if they were to get to a 15-6-4 kind of line for Cam, is you know that you're sharing the basketball a lot. You're adding the playmaking in. You are doing a whole bunch of like player movement, and there's not going to be a whole bunch of isolation basketball. And as long as you get to that place where, okay, if he's shooting 37+% from three and is a guy that you have to run off the line, absolutely, that's going to be just fine. Hurricane is just losing his freaking mind in the comments. Like, worth an unprotected 2032 first round pick. It is if they win a championship, dude. Like, if they win a championship.
Here's the thing I'll tell you. They sent the 2032 first round pick to dump Mike's contract.
Yeah, like that was $35 million that they dumped. You weren't going to do that for a second.
Yeah, the cap savings that's why the pick was there. If you want another number,
sure.
So Mike was plus 4.4 on court last season overall.
Yeah.
Jokic minutes, non-Jokic minutes, all of them combined. In his minutes, he was plus 4.4. Cam will be plus 6. And the minutes with Cam and without Nikola will be better than the minutes with Mike and without Nikola.
They were an absolute, like, the Mike minutes without Nikola this year were an absolute travesty. They were horrible. They tried, like, one of the reasons why Jamal has to stagger with the second unit is because Mike can't. And if you could get Cam Johnson to be able to do that, to pick up some of the playmaking responsibilities, that will absolutely make the Nuggets a better, more well-rounded team overall. So I'm very excited for it, man. It's going to be good.
But I mean, how about on the other side? On the other side, sorry, I get something playing. On the other side, why don't you tell me? Let's go down that rabbit hole. How does it not work? Let's talk about that.
Okay, we will hit that next here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, let's talk now about we're going to do 5 Hour Energy. This one is really good for me because caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it wherever you get that boost when you need it, which I did on my trip. I actually, this is a true story, walked into a gas station in the middle of Wyoming trying to get back to Colorado in time. And I was flagging. I was absolutely struggling. See at the counter, a 5 Hour Energy. Picked up a berry, and that was perfect for me. It got me home. I drove the rest of the way. My dad was so thankful, and I could thank 5 Hour Energy for that. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love to be bold, and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, back at it. Locked On Nuggets, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. All right, so we talked about what could work. Let's talk about what doesn't work. What could possibly go wrong with the Cam Johnson addition. One of the things that we've discussed was that what if the Nuggets are just not a good defensive team, Matt? What if they're just not a team that is capable of solving these issues in the playoffs? We both think that Cam Johnson is at least a better fit, a slightly better defender. Is there a world where that doesn't necessarily translate to actual better defense on the court?
Yeah, I mean, Nets fans were pretty frustrated with his defense. And I will say that a lot of guys, the way that this happens, I think is really funny. When Norman Powell got traded to the Blazers, like a big talking point was like Norm's going to help them on defense. Like that was it was a big talking point at the time of like Norm's going to be the defensive wing next to CJ and Dame. And then like over the next couple of seasons, Norm was not that. Like, he just wasn't that. And guys do go from being defenders early in their career to not defenders. And the opposite happens too, where they go from being non-defenders to being pretty good. Like especially big wings get better as they get older. By the way, your face whenever I mention Norm Powell is hilarious. I think so. It's like it's possible that like Cam won't be that, and he won't have the impact. Because if we remember, all of us got a little nervous about Bruce Brown and his defense middle of the season in 2023.
Yeah,
it was like And Bruce isn't really all that great defense. And then in the playoffs, he made like a bunch of really great plays, and you saw the value. Phoenix fans remember Cam and what he can do. If Cam has a down year, one of the things is that Mike's floor on 3-point shooting was 40%. Like he was going to be 40% all the time. And so if Cam has a bad month, that can really hurt. There are ways that this doesn't pan out, and you just have seen a lot of situations. And what we do is when a team makes a big move and it doesn't work out, we do revisionist history, and it's like they thought this was going to be the move instead of like holding true to what we thought at the time. So I think this is like an interesting situation to kind of evaluate where we're at on it now and try and remember that no matter how this kind of shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, right now I feel pretty good about Denver being like in line for being the second best team in the NBA and potentially better than OKC in a playoff context where they match up with them a little bit better this year. And Cam Johnson is a big reason for that. But there is also a possibility where, like Michael Porter Jr., you target Cam Johnson on defense. You there's plenty of footage of Luka Doncic in Game 7 against the 2022 Phoenix Suns just torching Cam Johnson over and over and over again in that game, and what was one of the most famous blowouts that we've seen in recent memory. And I do think that there is a world where the Nuggets are going to have other answers outside of Cam Johnson. But to me, that's an evolution where Denver was so beholden to Michael Porter Jr. in part because of the contract, because they didn't have the financial flexibility to add other pieces, to have the depth around him that was necessary. Now Denver does have the depth around Cam Johnson that he doesn't have to close all the time. He doesn't have to be the most important piece all the time. And so there is at least a world where he doesn't fully work out and Denver is still really good, and still winning the championship kind of good. But I don't like that world. I think that Denver needs Cam Johnson to be the best version of themselves.
The injury stuff is the other part of this. Is just like, if, moving on from Mike because of all the back concerns about the contract, and then if Cam's just not able to stay on the floor, then it's just ironic. It's just like, oh, clearly Cam's going to be able to be more available than Mike when Mike has done whatever it took for him to play. Yeah. Like he played. There's many things we can say about Michael Porter Jr. but you cannot say anything about his desire to play basketball and his willingness to play through pain and discomfort, because he's done it consistently. So with Cam, if he's just not able to go, that hurts, because even with Tim Hardaway Jr. and even with Deron Holmes at power forward, like they don't have enough wings like Cam. Even Peyton, they don't have the wings to be able to manage. Like if he's out, it's a big absence.
It's gonna take a lot from Peyton Watson. They'll probably go small, I would guess, with one of Julian Strawther or Tim Hardaway Jr. or Bruce Brown stepping into the starting lineup, and then Christian Brown moving to the 3. That would be, I think, their second option, though Peyton Watson stepping in as the first option would probably make the most sense. If that were to work out, I think there is and I don't necessarily see this. I've talked about this with Swipa, and he doesn't necessarily see Peyton Watson stepping in as the future at small forward for the Denver Nuggets if Cam Johnson goes. But Cam Johnson's only under contract for another 2 years, which coincidentally is in line with Nikola Jokic's contract. I'm curious, is Cam Johnson, what's the best case scenario for him in a Nuggets uniform? Does he re-up with Denver? Is he because he's kind of felt like a journeyman for, well, not really, because he was just with Phoenix and with Brooklyn, but it hasn't felt like he is fully on one of those teams yet. Kind of like Aaron Gordon's become a Nugget. He's no longer a member of the Orlando Magic. He's fully a Nugget. Could Cam Johnson be seen as a Denver Nugget when it's all said and done?
No, because the new CBA. I mean, that's like as far as it goes. Is just like everybody's going to be rotational around really the big 3. Like the Nuggets are set up in the situation with Jokic and Jamal and Aaron and they're all making big money. So everybody else is going to have to be movable, flexible, and possibly moved on from. Like there will come a point where Christian Braun may be too expensive for them. There will come a point where maybe Christian they have to keep, but Aaron's too expensive. Like you will just have to keep rotating the pieces. We are not in an era where everybody gets to stay together. It's over. It's done. It's not happening. Like that is no longer a reality under the new CBA. Yeah. So Cam's going to be here for a couple of years. I can see him being a guy that helps him win a title, maybe 2, and then goes on. You know, if Cam's here for 4 years, that's a win.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I think the over-under for him should be set at 2.5, given that his contract is 2. But I'm not sure if it's going to last that much longer than that. It'll be interesting to see whether the Nuggets feel like they can afford Cam Johnson, if that's a premium that they have to pay going forward for a team that may or may not win a title. If it does win a title, maybe they'll pay. If they don't win a title, then maybe they won't. That seems like a pretty good through line there. Okay, let's take one more break. When we come back, we're going to kind of wrap up with Kawhi Leonard and this aspiration conspiracy that is still hanging over, and Pablo Torre is still dropping absolute bombshells on everybody. We're going to talk about it next here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, let's talk about Monarch Money now, folks. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do the heavy lifting. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. On a personal note, I was recently looking at my finances. Monarch Money definitely helped me figure out, hey, you could maybe afford to be putting more money towards student loans, which is something that I'm sure everybody deals with. It's that balance, whether you're, okay, do you put more money towards it? Do you put less money towards it? How much can you afford to actually spend? I upped the payment just a little bit. So very excited about that. Monarch was able to help me do that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. Okay, man, this just keeps getting crazier with the Kawhi Leonard saga that has been happening over the course of these last few weeks. The bombshell that was released by Pablo Torre that Aspiration is in like the bankrupt, kind of corrupt company, corrupt potential issues that they have been facing. The CEO that was fired and ultimately is facing charges. There's a whole bunch of absolute drama that's been going on. And ever since the initial statements, the NBA has responded, Mark Cuban has responded. There's been so much back and forth in the public eye about all of this. And Pablo Torre just keeps bringing more and more information to the table. And others, including John Corrales, our own John Corrales at Locked On Celtics, also brought some stuff to the table about how it goes a little bit deeper than just Steve Ballmer and Aspiration potentially cap circumventing. There's just so much that has gone on here, and there's so many different ways that we could tackle this from. We don't have enough time for all of it, but I'm just kind of getting your thoughts as we are a little bit removed from the initial bombshell dropping of this. Just where are you at with this conspiracy and it's not even really a conspiracy. Like, this is happening in real time.
I'm more interested in what you have to say, honestly. Like, I'd really like to get your kind of thoughts on this as with where you're at in your career and where you're at with the time that you spent covering the Nuggets and seeing the stuff more up close. What are your kind of thoughts on all this?
Well, it was when I first saw it, I was shocked and surprised. Like, yeah, hey, shocking, like crazy, really, really wild stuff here. But when you see stuff like this and you see big names attached to it, like Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard, and this is the fear of every NBA fan, right? I think it's a massive fear, or should be a massive fear for every NBA fan, because this is a complete issue that the NBA has to tackle, and there's so many different things that I think like what are you shaking your hand for?
Oh, go ahead, keep going.
Okay, I just think that there is so much that's is so unethical and potentially immoral that could be going into something like this, where Kawhi Leonard is, if you're getting extra money off of
shocked to discover there's gambling going on in this establishment. I am shocked.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Let me tell you,
players are getting illicit
funds
in the NBA.
Okay. Yeah. No, I
hear what you're saying. But it is kind of interesting, right? Is like there are people that are like genuine. It's really interesting. Like there's just like a lot of Lakers fans that are amazed at this. Just really.
Yeah. I mean, it's 100% where the Lakers fans are. You can't wait to call the kettle black on something like this, because they are absolutely, completely and utterly flummoxed to how Kawhi Leonard could have found his way to the Clippers while Luka Doncic is signing extensions with the Los Angeles Lakers after the Dallas Mavericks got the #1 overall pick in the draft after trading Luka Doncic for nothing.
So I think my whole thing with this is largely just, I think the reactions have been really fascinating from people that are more connected than we are. Because you have Zach Lowe and John Hollinger talking about like executives are outraged. Nothing like this goes on, they say. And then you got like Bill Simmons, who's like, we've heard about this stuff for years. Like, there's always been rumors about this kind of stuff. And like, I'll just tell you, like, I personally I have zero proof of anything. But if you ask me for an opinion, for an educated guess, I would just be like, yeah, stuff goes on all the time. What are we doing? Like, the Clippers' problem is that they got caught. That's it. That is it to me, is that they got caught. And what the owners are really mad about is that they were owed luxury tax money for this money that was paid to Kawhi. That's what they really care about. And they designed a system to where Steve couldn't actually pay to win. So when he added extra money, that's infuriating for them, because they built the CBA to contain Steve Ballmer. And this idea that Ballmer is worse than the others because he's more of a billionaire is equally flummoxing to me, because I'm just like, seriously, I've had these conversations with a friend where he's like, well, no, he's 110 billionaire. That's way worse than 1.7. Sure. Cool. What I will tell you is, if you start going down this is ethically wrong, like this is wrong. Once you start entering that, you have to keep that same energy for all the unethical things in sports.
I agree. For what it's worth, I do agree. That's the thing where it's one of the things I've been fascinated with Mark Cuban. Just he's been very defensive, very, very defensive of the process, and really trying to.
I think Mark genuinely is just like defensive. Like, I think Mark genuinely is like, you can be a good businessman and get fooled by people. And my problem is, I'm just like, ultimately here, do I think that that's possible? Yeah. You couldn't convict the Clippers of anything. There's no smoking gun. A smoking gun is a message from Steve Ballmer saying, hello, this is Steve Ballmer. I will give you $50 million to give Kawhi Leonard $48 million under the table. Goodbye. Again, This is Steve Ballmer. That's a smoking gun. You're not going to find that.
No.
But the circumstantial evidence, which is outlined in the CBA, is enough. Is like, look, they gave them $50 million. Kawhi got 48. Kawhi didn't do anything. The circumstantial, I genuinely am just like, I don't care if you did it or not. Like, if you didn't do it, then this is like, you were about to get hammered with penalties because of how dumb you were.
I mean, there's a lot of that happens with the like jumping the gun in free agency, talking to agents talking to teams and other players, and like that seems to be hit like something that happens with the Knicks, where they penalized a very small amount. The Sixers penalized a very small amount.
To your point, how many times do we hear about, oh, this guy's going there in December?
It's plenty. I mean, I heard that Bruce Brown was coming to Denver back in February.
And do we care?
No.
But that violates the spirit of the CBA, which says you're under contract. You can't have these conversations.
Yeah.
And this is
it's the open secret. And there are so many of these open secrets that if you actually did the work and the due diligence to unearth all of it, the NBA would be a changed game. The offseason and the actual logistics of it would be completely different.
Well, and I do like talking about this stuff from an ethical perspective, because I like talking about ethics.
Yeah.
They're not relevant in professional sports, because it's all about money.
Clearly.
Because the inescapable maw of capitalism must devour us all. Like, that is the end point. But like, I want to ask you this, because you're like, just, this is unethical, and like, I'm shocked and like morally wrong. And like, you are somebody, I think, that has like really strong, like, guiding moral principles, and you don't get as caught up in like the overthinking it that I do. I think it's interesting that there is in talking to people, it's like there's lines, it's like degrees.
Yeah,
like this thing is really bad because they gave him $50 million, but like Bruce Brown and my thing is, I'm like, because for me it's a binary. It's either no, you either broke the spirit of the CBA or not.
Yeah,
and if you did, that's wrong, and if you didn't, or if you did, that's wrong, and it doesn't matter what the degree of that is. But it does seem like the egregiousness is what bothers people rather than the act itself, which I think is interesting.
It's a reasonable take, and it reminds me of the unwritten rules that kind of pop up in Major League Baseball all the time, where you take 2 steps incorrect, and then some pitcher is throwing 95 at your head the next time up that you're at the plate. And that's wrong. That's stupid. And it's completely irresponsible, but it's a spirit of the game kind of de-evolution of this stuff. So it's fascinating to think about. And I do think that there are so many, I do think that cap circumvention in general is one of those things where if you have a max contract system that is actually outlaid there, and you have found a way to pay 20% more, 25% more, 40% more than what you're supposed to, that to me feels like an illegal thing that should be wrapped up.
Last thing I'll say is like, it just sucks that Steve Ballmer wanted to try and give Clippers fans something to cheer for. Like, really wanted to pay to win, really wanted his team to win, and was willing to not worry about the margins and the P&L and the profit margin for shareholders.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to win. And he's going to wind up as this incredible bad guy. And there's James Dolan.
Yeah.
And there's Jerry Reinsdorf.
They're way worse.
And they're going to continue hanging out. But that's the way of the world. They're going to get, the reality is this is cheating. They're going to get hit. It's going to be bad for the Clippers. The end.
It seems like a case of me if Steve Ballmer's going about it the right way, but kind of like with Aspiration, he's just committed to the wrong people.
Yep.
All right. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Media Day is just so close. We are very excited for the new content and all the things that are going to come out of it. Very excited to be able to talk to Matt about some of the quotes. We'll have plenty of content for you here at Locked On Nuggets. Basketball.
Shoot him.